Welcome to my new segment, What the Sky Taught Me. I hope you enjoy. Now to the story. It was supposed to be a simple night cross country in my Mooney M20C, home from a business meeting in a small Midwestern town, back to my hangar before midnight. The forecast was marginal, ceilings 2,500 feet broken, visibility 5 miles with light rain. But the airport was reporting VFR, so I filed IFR anyways, just in case. I was current, the airplane was solid, and I'd flown this route in worse. Takeoff was normal. I climbed into the Merc and I broke out on the top around 4,000 feet into smooth moonlit air. Autopilot was on and I was heading home. About 30 minutes out, the panel lights dimmed, just a flicker. Then the alternator light glowed yellow. My ammeter also showed a discharge. The battery voltage was dropping slowly. I told myself it was probably the voltage regulator acting up. I'd seen it before on older Moonies. So I decided to reduce the electrical load, preserve the battery as long as possible. I killed the landing light, turned off the second comm, dimmed the panel lights. The voltage started to stabilize around 12.8, still discharging, but very slowly. I figured I had 45 minutes of battery life left, plenty to make it home VFR if I broke out early. Then the autopilot quit. No warning, just servos clicking off. I hand flew, trim for level, and checked the voltage again. 12.4 now. The vacuum pump was still humming, so the attitude indicator and the DG were good. But now the GPS started glitching, screen flickering, then completely freezing. Well, hang in there because that's not everything that's going to fail yet. This story is going to get even better. So at this point, comm number one began crackling with static. I switched to number two, but it wasn't any better. In fact, it might have been a little bit worse. At this point, ATC handed me off to the next sector. I reported in with the electrical issue and I asked ATC for lower if I needed it. They started to vector me towards a VOR that I knew well. Checked the voltage, it's at 11.9 now. The yoke is feeling heavier because the trim tab was electric too. So at this point, I am hand trimming manually. Just when I thought that everything was going to be okay and I was going to make it home a little bit worse for the wear and a ton of stressed out, the engine coughed. Once, then twice. The fuel pressure needle twitched towards the downward side just slightly. So I figured it might be time to start troubleshooting a little bit with the fuel. I switched tanks, pumped the throttle, and it smoothed out for a little bit. So I thought, hey, maybe just a little a little bit of water, a little bit of something, everything is fine. But then the cough returned stronger. I continued to troubleshoot. Mixture itch, magnetos on, and good. No roughness yet, but the RPM dipped about 100 RPM, then recovered. So far, so good. Now I'm 15 miles out, still in the cloud tops, with the ceilings reported at 1,800 feet at the field. All right, just a little bit more to go now. 15 miles out, voltage is 11.2. The panel lights were a dim orange. Then the number two nav started losing signal. I could hear the Morse code from the VOR fading in and out like a dying heartbeat. That's when the engine quit. Not a sputter, a clean stop. Prop windmilling, silence except for the slipstream. At that point, altitude 5,500, sinking at best glide. I declared an emergency to ATC and told them that I had a total power loss with electrical failure imminent. They gave me vectors to the nearest airport, which was about 10 miles behind me now. No way to make it that far. I'd be in the soup at pattern altitude. I turned towards a small private strip I'd overflown once. Grass and 2,800 feet unlit. No choice. I had to do it. It was either that or trees or a field. So at this point, I got to go for it. I ran the restart checklist twice on while I was heading towards the field. Mixture rich, fuel both, mags both, primer in and locked. Nothing. Battery was at 10.8. The electric fuel pump wouldn't even whine when I hit the switch. Descending through 3,000, still IMC. At this point, my altimeter's unwinding pretty good. I'm still in the soup, waiting to break out. Finally, at 1,800 feet, I broke out into steady rain with maybe 3 miles visibility. I could see some lights below, scattered houses, a highway. I'm looking for this grass strip that I know is in this area. Then I see it. I see dark, wet grass and trees at both ends. No runway lights, no beacon. I set up for my pattern. I'm now abeam the approach end. I'm putting a gear down, and I've got to do this manually. My arms are screaming. So gears down, no flaps. They're electric, they're dead, so we're going to be coming in for a no flap landing. Setting up approach speed, 80 knots, slowing down to 70. Gosh, this strip looks a lot shorter in the rain. At 500 feet, I saw the power lines. Thin black wires across the approach end. Too low to flare over them. So I banked hard left, skirted the wires by what felt like inches. I leveled my wings, reduced the last of my power and airspeed, and prepared for touchdown. The mains touched first. Then the nose wheel slammed down and it bit into the soft wet surface. And the Mooney slewed to the right towards a tree line. I stomped on the left rudder, felt the tail come around, and we came to a stop. Oh my gosh. I'm on the ground and I'm safe. I am shaking like a leaf at this point. I take a look around. The prop is bent, the cowl's in the mud, but we are upright. Rain is hammering on the windshield. I sat there shaking, listening to the fuel dripping from a cracked line. I quickly exited the aircraft and got to a safe distance. When the sheriff arrived, we found the cause. The alternator belt had snapped, taking out the charging system. But the engine failure? What in the world caused that? Contaminated fuel from the FBO's truck, water in the tanks, had also settled during the long climb. I'd sumped on pre-flight, but apparently not enough after sitting overnight in the rain. I walked away. The airplane didn't. What I learned was marginal weather plus marginal systems equals no margin at all. When the first light comes on, alternator, oil, anything. Don't rationalize it away. Divert immediately to the nearest good runway with lights and services, even if it means delaying our ETA by hours. Night IMC with cascading failures turns a minor issue into a survival problem fast. Get on the ground while you still have choices. I now keep a handheld radio and a flashlight in the flight bag, and I never trust probably fine again.